Ṣá máa ṣe poll. Question wo la máa draft? Màá wá question. Mo ti gbé background sí. Mo ti gún wà, mi ti di bàbá àsàlẹ̀. Ìdélẹ̀ bàbá. Ó gún wà. Àwọn òkúlẹ̀. Mo ti rí. Okay. Àwọn èèyàn ti wọlé. Hello. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, everyone? Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Nice to have you here. Okay. I can't hear you. Can you all hear me? Good day, everyone. Can you hear me? Wow, I can't. I think I need to fix my.
I was on mute, sorry.
Okay, good.
How is it going?
Nice to meet you, Danilo. Yeah,
Nice
to
to
have you
meet you
around.
as well. Thank you. I hope you're safe and well. Where are you based now?
Yeah, so I was just trying to see if everyone can hear me. So that's why I was trying to confirm. So I think it's fine now. Yeah. So do you have your presentations?
Yes, it's already here. I'm going to share it through my screen, right?
Okay. Okay, good. You said?
Olu told me that he's going to join the presentation a bit after.
Wait, are you able to share your screen?
No, I think you should enable me to share the screen. Because at the moment, I'm not able to do that.
Okay, I'm coming. Just hold on. Okay. Hold on.
I think you should touch the share screen button and allow multiple people to share it. If you see at the middle, there is a share. I think so.
You could do that now. Can you do that now? Try it now.
No, I still can do that.
It's active now. I just did that now, multiple. So can you try it again?
No, because I have a presentation open and it doesn't allow to me to present my presentation. I don't know why.
Can you try rejoining?
Yes.
Because, yeah, rejoin again, because
okay.
I've actually turned it on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure. You can hear you.
Okay, good. So, my name is Abdulaziz, and I'm one of the program assistant for Financial Inclusion Africa. So we appreciate you for joining this webinar, and we hope you will be able to get value from the presentations.
Yes.
Good, good.
Now it's working.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's just wait a little bit.
Yes, no problem.
To allow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Good day, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
Perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah, good. I welcome you to this webinar. We're happy to have you around, and we hope you get more value and benefit from the experienced facilitators today. My name is Abdulaziz, and I'm the Program Assistant for Financial Inclusion Africa. I'm also the Business Development Lead for Isusu Africa. And we're happy to have you around. So I'll be hosting this webinar session while Mr. Olumayowa will also join during the process. So we'd just like to introduce the program and the speakers. Then we can now start with the first presentation.
Thank you for the introduction, and I'm going to share my screen.
Okay. Okay.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon also for different time zones that are joining us. So today we're going to talk about preventing fraud through automation and alternative data. I'm Danilo Melle, and I'm from Italy, and I have a financial service background. And I was used to work within investment as a relationship manager. I had nothing involved with fintech, but I would like to tell you how I became passionate about that. And it's really, in that period, I was really curious about the news and what was happening in 2013, where a lot of news came up and brought my attention, talking about data breach, security, and digitalization, how the digital innovation was disrupting traditional business and improving millions of lives around the world. Also making companies not wasting money and saving them, and also being more efficient with their processes. At the moment, I'm working at Elosoda. It is a global digital analytical platform that through artificial intelligence reduce frauds, automating KYC and AML. What was happening in 2013, I came up with the conclusion that I wanted to understand what data breach was. Why? Because in that period, it happened that Yahoo suffered a big data breach of 3 billion user records that they were stolen. Here you can see the 5 biggest data breaches of all the time. And you can see that Yahoo is the biggest in all history. So I wanted to be more curious, so I digged in understanding what is a data breach. So a data breach is a security incident in which information is accessed by unauthorized people. Basically, if, for example, you have an account at Yahoo and you input all your data that can be personal information, addresses, emails, sometimes it can be also financial information, they are stolen from fraudesters or hacker. So what do you think about Yahoo in this time if something happened with you? As a consumers, we are not just thinking that the data is not secure, but we also lose confidence with this company. Here we can see that in 2013, the data breach from Yahoo decreased also the brand reputation from 20.7% to 9.4%. And of course, I came to the conclusion that this can also affect the company financially. If we think that, for example, last year, just the cost of a data breach was almost $4 million, and just the average cost per stolen user record is $148. If we think about the 2 weeks ago biggest data breach for airline companies, EasyJet in Europe, that lost 9 million of record, if we just do a simple math, it's almost 1.3 billion of US dollar that they're going to spend. Not only that, if we think about the action lawsuit that has been filed against EasyJet, it's almost 18 billions of pounds. Unfortunately, nowadays, it's happening always more. Why? Because we are locked down in our house everywhere around the world. So we are using internet and we are digitalizing our lives even more. We are buying more over the internet. We are making financial transactions. And the fraudulent digital transaction have rise by 5%, and more than 100 million risky transactions from March 11th to April 28th have been identified. It's more than 40% than last year. So where do you think these data that have been stolen are when they are stolen? If we think about the web that we are used to and we are aware of, It's called surface web. It's just a little part of the whole web that exists out there. The surface web is just the web that we are used to surf, like using social media, Google, YouTube. But there is another part of the web called dark web that is 500 larger time this normal web. It's where you can unfortunately see all the illicit transactions. People can buy guns, drugs, and you can find there all these data that have been stolen from organizations. We can see that in the dark web every day, it generates at least $500,000 that are generated by illegal activities. The problem is that these data breaches also developed other type of frauds. In Africa, we identified this year five trends for 2020 that go from authorized push payment fraud to synthetic identity fraud. So authorized push payment fraud is when someone is going to control your account, is authorizing the payment of a transaction. How often can happen to everyone? For me, for example, it happened 3 times in the previous 5 years, where my transaction were not made by myself. So I was attacked by an hacker. There is also account takeover fraud, when someone is going to steal your identity and they can do everything with your identity, also changing your key and account details and login credentials. Account opening fraud is where someone is going to open an account. It could be, for example, Lime Credit Group or another loan provider. They are going to open an account with your name. Transaction payment frauds is when someone is going to remotely control your transactions. And lately, we have a new form of fraud called synthetic identity fraud, where expert criminals can have a blend of fake and real data, and they can build new identity from scratch. And they can open an account, they can make fraudulent activities, and so on. All of that is expecting losses of $25 billion in 2020. But why this is so difficult to detect? Because genuine customers have a good spending history. What does it mean? Fraudsters are so good to mimic the normal behaviors of customers, because when they take over an account, they can fake that they are these people. And so, of course, they follow their spending history. They also mimic login behavior. And most of all, fraudsters are really good in sharing their knowledge, where within the dark web or some hidden chats and website that they have. And unfortunately, these 46% of organizations suffer damage to reputation and brand value after a data breach in 2019. It's a really big number. How we can avoid that? Companies need to understand who their clients are in order to protect themselves from frauds, money laundering, and other illicit money transactions. How? Through the KYC, the process of know your customer. Traditionally, the process of KYC was made through governmental documents. They could be ID, passport, driving license, or credit reference data, where a person was going to a branch and the person who is going to open the account was going to confirm the identity of this person, checking physically these documents. But what's happening now is that in Africa, for example, 500 million of population has access to internet. The internet penetration is growing at a fast rate, more than anywhere else around the world. And people are not just using normal KYC to open an account, they're using internet. So now there is the need also to have a digital KYC. Why? Because people are opening bank account over the internet. They're asking loans through mobile phones. They're buying and they're doing shopping with their internet. So biometric is one of the methodology that we use in order to check identity of people. How? Taking a picture of a document of a person and then biometric match the face of this person that with the picture extracted from the document. But nowadays, this is not the only way to identify people, because we will need a more holistic KYC. We need to leverage also alternative data. Why? Because we came up to the conclusion that verifying identities can be also done through digital footprints and social data. I would like to show you now a video to make you understand what we do at Hello Soda.
In a world full of data, you'd think that verifying your identity would be simple, but consumers often find themselves unable to open or access accounts. The average consumer has over 90 passwords, and even if you manage to remember the right one and match it to the right account, many businesses such as banks, lenders and mobile providers require further security measures in the form of questions like, how much was your last phone bill? What is the value of your mortgage? Or even, who did you pay £16.81 to on the 12th of May? Traditional processes like these tend to leave your customers confused or frustrated that they have to bring ID into branch, or even worse, unable to open accounts at all because they lack formal identity documents. With Profile ID, you can utilize the millions of available data points in order to provide your consumers with a real-time, user-friendly verification process online, in-store, or over the phone. Profile ID returns a unique ID scorecard, verifying their date of birth and location, their address and employment status, and whether the account is real and can be trusted. Know your customer like never before with Profile ID.
So this is to make you understand that there are also other alternative ways in identifying people. How we do that, and we built a really advanced technology that take into account text analytics, natural language processing, statistics, that is Bayesian belief networks, and artificial intelligence with psycholinguistics. Why? Because with all the interaction of social data of people, we can build scores and features from the unstructured data, where we put structure and index that in order to verify identities. It's really simple because we can leverage our technology and build this global identification solution that it can be used in a lot of everywhere in the world. We are able to identify people in more than 177 countries in less than 3 seconds. This is to make you understand how strong and robust is the technology, and how can business nowadays, they can rely on that, because we cannot rely just on traditional data. And we came up to the conclusion to find an automation process for providing KYC and AML. How? We can leverage both traditional and alternative data through one single API, where we can really be strong in identifying people around the world. We learned that through hundreds of customers around the world, and especially in Africa. What we achieved with our biggest clients that are PayPal and PaySafe is that using our platform, we can increase of 68% the customer onboarding while reducing the risk of frauds by 21%. So this is to make you understand that we need to try to automate processes always more, and giving you the opportunity to use technology in order to improve customer onboarding, taking all the frictions when customers are using technology. I have some problem with the I'm hearing too much noise, but I hope you are hearing me. And to make you understand that from now on, we should be more mission driven in trying to create efficiencies between the ecosystem. Also, because of course, I'm really happy to show you what we are doing and the results we achieved. But the most important thing is to create awareness within all the countries, and especially in Africa. I talked to Chisala, that she is going to talk to you later on, and we came to the conclusion that we, as a business, we should be commit to use the technology for improving millions of lives of people. Of course, I would be really happy to answer any questions that you have. And for the moment, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Danilo, we really appreciate the great presentation.
Thank you.
It's really interesting based on the facts and figures that you have provided, and the video of what Elosoda is doing to support this issue, particularly preventing fraud and cyber security crimes. So it's nice that we're having this conversation at this point in time, because you have, based on the effect of the COVID-19 across the several countries, you've had several increase in cyber security, fraud, crimes, and the likes. And in different African countries, aside from other areas, other locations, you have it, increased. And with the figures you have also given, it's really justifying to us that we need to react fast. Several stakeholders involved, the operators, the banks, we, the consumers, we need to be, reactive, basically, and have more orientation on how to use it, interact with digital platforms to expose our information. And the challenge there is around digital, KYC gap.
Yes, and
so without wasting much of our time, I think would love everyone, all participants, to drop your questions in the chat box. After the second presentation, we can now have, answers to them. Before we introduce the second speaker, we want to use this opportunity to launch a poll, just to make it more interactive and validate some of the points Danilo has shared with us. Very wonderful presentation, and giving us the insight. So we want to launch a poll to also get validation from the audience we have here about how we can respond fast. What are the reactions based on the audience we have? So I'll be launching the poll shortly so that you can see.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, can you see the poll?
No, where should I see that?
Okay, I'm going to launch it now. Okay. Okay. I think there's a technical challenge here. Hold on. Okay. So while we go, because of I think there's a technical mishap here. So I'll look at it on the line. Before we end the session, we'll definitely share the poll to get insight. So I want to introduce the second speaker. Chisala, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Let me just quickly introduce Chisala. So Chisala Tembo is a country managing director for South Africa at Lime Credit Group, a multinational fintech and lending company. She is a financial services professional with 14 years experience both in the banking sector and microfinance industry. Within the industry, she has a strong proven track record focusing on business development and management, consumer lending, credit and risk analysis, business strategy, strategic planning, and portfolio management. Chisala is also a consultant for the microfinance industry, where she focuses on facilitating growth, inclusion, and sustainability within the industry through digital transformation. She is also a financial literacy advocate, business speaker, and contributing columnist to financialzame.com. Permit me to introduce to you once again Chisala Tembo, who is the country managing director for South Africa at Lime Credit Group. Chisala, you could go ahead. You have a presentation to share?
Yes, I do have a presentation to share with you, but I'm just going to talk about a little bit about what we do at Lime Credit Group. So Lime Credit Group is an online lending company where we specialize in various types of credit products. And all our transactions are completely online, which makes us very susceptible to digital fraud, because as you may understand, most of the fraud that is taking place now is digital fraud. And so as a company, we are very invested in leveraging on technology. And we have come to realize that with the amount of fraud that is going on in the digital ecosystem, it's very important for us as a business to leverage on technology to introduce other ways of identifying our clients and ensuring that our clients are able to experience a seamless customer journey, even though they have to go through certain identification points that we specialize in. So I'm just, so to start my presentation, I'm going to share a short video by Experian Credit Bureau that sort of summarizes what I'm going to be talking about. Just let me know when you're able to see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, can you see it now?
No.
Okay, just a moment.
While we're waiting for that, the poll is up. People can start taking the poll.
Please, can you launch it from your end?
It's launched already.
Yeah.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Please, we would like everyone to respond to the poll so that we can also validate the concerns, particularly the discussion we are having here around the security threats, cyber security, fraud, and the likes.
Okay.
You have the now. We couldn't hear the sound of the video. Chisala, are you there?
Hello, you can't hear it.
Yes, we can't hear the sound.
Okay, just give me a moment.
Okay. Please, we will also want you to respond to this poll so that we can announce the result shortly.
Okay, I'm having some challenges with the video, with the volume, so I'll just go ahead with my presentation.
Okay, go ahead. No problem.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so basically with the growth of the fintech industry, there has also been an increase in fraud because while technology is advancing, the fraudsters out there continuously look for ways to infiltrate the fintech industry and just any type of e-commerce or any kind of business that transacts online. And so the fraudsters also keep on advancing their skills and they take advantage of this ecosystem, seeing how best they can, manipulate the systems that are being used. And to make it worse now with the current global situation that we're in with coronavirus, the fraud incidents have actually increased. My colleague there, Danilo, was giving numbers to the increases that have taken place since the inception of the COVID. And for example, in South Africa, 1 in 4 South Africans have experienced COVID-related fraud scams. You have all sorts of, people have become vulnerable. And so anything that someone comes along with and says, this can help you during this situation, people are able to fall into those kind of scams. And 1 in 5 of those people that experience the fraud scams have actually fallen victim to the scams that are taking place that are related to the COVID-19 situation. And so when you look at the common types of fraud that most of us look at very lightly, but they are the ones that are able to distribute our data out there, our identity data for fraudsters to use. You look at things like phishing, where through an email, someone sends you a link, or in this kind of situation that we're in, someone asks you, well, if you click this link, then you get a job, or you get some kind of financial help, or you'll be able to buy masks or anything. And without realizing it, we're falling prey to the scams of these fraudsters. And then there's also phishing, which is more like phishing, but it happens using, well, for example, someone calls you from the bank or through an an email where they ask you for your personal information, for example, to log into the bank or to confirm your ID or your PIN or anything else. Oh, sorry, just a moment. I'm just having some technical difficulties. Can everyone see my slide? Hello?
Yes, we can see your slide, but it's not showing from the beginning. You need to start it from the first slide.
Okay, just a moment.
If you click from the beginning on your menu.
Is
Good.
it better now?
Yes, we got you.
Perfect.
Good.
Okay. Yes, so I was explaining the various types of fraud that are taking place on in the digital ecosystem. And then there's also the keyloggers. These are scammers that take keystrokes. They track the keystrokes that you use on particular sites, and they're able to use this to transact on various platforms using your information. And then there's also the SMSing, which is similar to phishing, but this is conducted through SMSs, and then, well, the hacking, which is the main, you know, the main type of fraud that the scammers out there are using to get different types of information. We saw the data that Danilo presented with the information on the dark web, where that hackers are using to get information. And in our type of industry, in the online lending business, which has become very common now with the advanced technology, most companies are choosing to go digital rather than having a face-to-face experience with their clients. Some of the most common types of fraud that happens in this industry is the synthetic identities, where fraudsters use real stolen data. So someone will be able to get data for another person out there, and they're able to create a new identity using someone else's data. And so because on a digital transaction, you're not able to easily identify this person, and you feel, well, I'm transacting with the correct person. And then there's also the account takeovers, where the fraudsters harvest pieces of an individual's ID and apply for loans using, taking over a real account of someone. So they'll only have pieces of the information of that person. It could be just the login details, or just a piece of information that will allow them to take over a real account. And one thing that the fraudsters do is, once they're successful with one lender, then they'll move on, whether it's the bank or any other type of lender, then they'll move on to the next one and the next one, because they realize that they can't easily be caught out. And then we've got the loan stacking as well, because in the digital lending space, one of the most important things is a quick turnaround time. And so most businesses pride themselves in providing quick turnaround times for their loan approvals. And so fraudsters take advantage of this, because they'll apply for a lot of loans from different service providers in a short period of time, and those loans are going to be approved. But while they're applying for those loans, they know that they're not going to be able to pay back any of those loans. And by the time that the lender realizes this, the fraudster is out of this digital space, and you can't even catch them anymore. And so what are the effects? Again, Danilo went into details with the numbers that the effects of fraud due to the effects to businesses due to fraud. And so, for example, 3 in 5 businesses say fraud has increased in the past 12 months, and more so within the past 5 months due to the current COVID pandemic. And 57% of the businesses experienced rising year-over-year losses attributed to fraud. And you know, the millions of dollars are lost because of fraudulent activities, and the effects on the consumers is also just as much, because you look at financial loss. I've been a victim of fraud myself online. I'm sitting with my family, and before I know it, someone is transacting on my bank account and spending and buying things online, and I have no idea what's going on. And that affects you psychologically, because now you start to wonder what's really going on here. How did this person get my information? And so the effects both to the business and the consumer is quite high. And that's why now the consumers are also speaking out and saying, well, this is what we need from you as organizations that are, we have to transact with online. So when it comes to lending business, you know, an online application or even any type of digital transaction, now we're buying things online. These applications are more accessible to a wider set of potential customers. It's they're not limited to a certain location, but anyone around the world is able to access those websites. And this makes applications available to a wider set of fraudsters. So you have no choice but to interact with these people electronically. And if your fraud prevention methods are poor, then you're very much likely to fall victims of these kinds of fraud. And also, when you look at the methodology that is used on online transactions, it's not the most secure, because there's no face-to-face interaction with whoever is transaction. And also the level of scrutiny used on online transactions dramatically affects the likelihood of acquiring a new customer, because no customer wants to spend so much time, you know, going through a vetting process. And so companies that transact digitally usually want to reduce the information that they need to get from the customer in order to make the process much quicker. And so what do we need to do? So KYC, this is a requirement for any business that the financial industry and very many other businesses. KYC is very important, which is basically know your customer. But how do we identify our customers? This has changed over time. And if we're going to stick to the old-fashioned KYC method, where you rely on the person, the client, to give you their personal details, they'll give you the address, the date of birth, and you know, all this information, that is no longer enough to prevent fraud and correctly identify our clients. And with the increase in volume of the data breaches, we have to assume that, you know, possibly all our personal identifiable information, you know, such as the names, date of birth, ID number, has been compromised. And so with so much of our life cemented in the digital ecosystem, we are left vulnerable to fraudsters. And so what do we do? What is the solution? When you look at the consumers, because the cry is no longer, it's no longer just about the businesses, you know, moving to a more secure way to identify their customers. The consumers, we the consumers, are now saying, listen, security is very important for us. We need to make sure that we're partnering with a company that is able to identify us correctly. And 74% of consumers say security is still the most important factor when deciding to engage in a business. And so if you have ratings that talk about how poor your security is, then that reduces the likelihood of you acquiring new customers, because that's important for customers. And 95% of businesses say, well, I think we have confidence in our identity methods. We have confidence in the way that we vet our clients. We can identify our clients correctly. But 55% of consumers say, no ways, we don't feel recognized. We feel like you people don't know us. You know, you ask us for our details, but how is it possible that another person is still able to transact with our details, this shows that you're not able to identify us correctly. And so what happens in this type of situation, you know, what needs to be done? And for example, at Lime Credit Group, we have realized that the only way that we can mitigate this is through a combination of technology, alternative data, and cooperation between businesses. And Danilo explained, Danilo's company is one of these companies that are offering this kind of services. And he explained how easy it is to use this method to identify clients. And again, consumers are saying, 81% of consumers are saying, well, we view physical biometrics as a more secure form of identification. So whether it's by a photo or, you know, the thumbprint or whatever it is that needs to be done, the consumers are also now speaking out and saying, this is what we want, this is what we expect from you, and we think this is what we deserve from you as the providers of these businesses and us as the clients. So as technology advances, 86% of businesses are also investing in advanced analytics. This is a very strategic priority for most businesses. But the problem is, as they invest in this advanced analytics, most of it is for processes, business processes that are not even related to fraud prevention. And only 57% think it's important to invest more in identity authentication methods that are going to reduce fraud through technology. And so we can see that there's a lot of companies that are still not, you know, leveraging on technology and are still relying on the old way of doing things, old way of identifying clients, and hope that this is going to make their businesses better. But that's not the truth when we look at how things are happening now. And so for organizations, there is a need to look into our AI, integrate AI into internal systems, and this will allow for the use of alternative data. And then also data analytics, which collects data from different sources, like we saw with Danilo's explanation, where you have data from different sources. We've got social media and different other sources. And this helps businesses identify their clients better. And also with advanced technology, we're also able to use biometrics, device intelligence, and identity tokenization that can now very easily be integrated into any kind of software, any kind of system that is being used, whether it's in the banking sector, whether it's an online lending platform, or any other platform that needs to set identification as a priority. And for many businesses that are offering loans online, one of the requirements is the submission of bank statements or a pay slip. But as we have come to see, there's a lot of fraud just in this space alone. Someone can submit a bank statement that doesn't belong to them. It's very easy to forge these documents. It's very easy to edit and change the details there. But again, with the automation and alternative data, then has been edited or anything, because you have been able to verify this document through Home Affairs and through the bank itself. And that way, when you disperse funds to the client's account, you assure that the money that you're paying is being paid over to the correct recipient, is being paid over to the correct account holder of the bank account. And so while we look to automation, we look to alternative data, we look to companies that are able to assist us with this. What do we look for? What is it that a company, an organization has to look for? And even as consumers, when we're transacting with these companies, when we're partnering with these companies, it's very important to lend out our voices. And we need to understand, what are these companies looking for when they partner with companies that are able to identify our information? So what is it that we look for? What is important as we partner with companies that provide alternative ways of identifying clients. So firstly, we need to ensure that the service provider is up to date with industry information, and also that the company is compliant with the POPI Act and the GDPR policies, because compliance is a very huge factor. This is something that is required, and the cost of non-compliance is increasing, and companies are paying high penalties for non-compliance when it comes to data protection. And so it's very important that when you're looking for a company that can assist you with automation and alternative data as a method of identifying your clients, then you look for a company that is up to date with industry information and is in compliance with the POPI Act or the GDPR policies. Also, the speed and ease of how the system works. Danilo was able to explain that their system, you know, everything happens in a very short space of time, 3 seconds. And so the company needs to be able to verify you in a short period of time, because clients are also very concerned about how long the verification process takes. And so if you find a company that is able to do this in a short period of time, then you know we've got the right partner to work with us. And also, what type of other services can they offer? How is the identification process? Is it just, are they just using social media? Are they just using biometrics? What other sources are they using? And so if a company can have various ways that they're able to identify their clients and make sure that they are actually getting the correct information about this client, that also plays a very important role for organizations that integrate with this kind of businesses. That is something that is very important, because apart from just the KYC, this also helps in anti-money laundering services and prevention. So it's very important that as we do this, we look for the right companies to work with, the right companies that are going to make sure that we're able to identify our customers correctly, our customers' information is safe, and we reduce the fraud that is taking place in the digital ecosystem now, and we're able to create a safer society for everyone out there, especially with the increase of digital transactions due to the current pandemic and the global situation that we all find ourselves in. So that's what I had for you today, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. And I believe you've greatly shared a lot of insights on the topic and how True ID of Lime Credit Group is really responding to this challenge and problems of cybersecurity fraud and crimes. So without wasting much of our time, before we go to the questions and answer session, we'd like Mr. Mayowa to share the poll result. Mr. Mayowa, are you there? Hello? Okay, I think it's off. So while we wait for him, so we'll just look at the different questions that have been posted in the chat box. After we attend to those questions, we would also want everyone that has any contribution or suggestion on this vital topic to also share your insight that will also be beneficial to everyone. So the question I have here, the question I think we have from James Summons. He said he would like to share his thoughts on how we could leverage on Li-Fi. Are you there, James?
Yes, I am, and thank you for inviting me
Okay.
to your talk. I was very informative. I wanted to just add at this time that there are other breakthroughs with technology that can assist with protection of consumers' identification, as well as the infrastructure for passing data with regards to privacy and security. One is the technology that I've been working with one of the founders that's called Life Fidelity. It's Li-Fi technology, almost like Wi-Fi technology. I apologize, I don't know, there was some background. I don't know if you can still hear me, but with regard.
Are you not picking the pin?
Oh, sorry. Continue, please, James.
Yes, sir, not a problem. That technology, the Life Fidelity Li-Fi technology, is going to be a technology that you're going to see quite a bit more of here in the near future. I've had revolutionary breakthroughs with the technology. It will probably eliminate some of this, but technology utilizes a private infrastructure utilizing lights. As we all know, that we have sound and we have light, and light is the fastest medium of communication there is, or with respect to just sight. But there's also data that can be transferred through this light. What I would like to do, perhaps maybe at a later given time, is to provide a presentation to the group through your organization to kind of give them a better understanding of how this Life Fidelity works. Currently right now, just to let you know that the Department of Defense here in the US, where I reside, North America, is using this with respect to some of the privacy and security measures that they are taking with regards to transferring data. So you can see how sophisticated and how secure, if our Department of Defense is also taking a great interest in this technology, how in fact it will be the futuristic technology. On top of that, let me just add that the speed of this technology, because it is so efficient and so fast, that it's very hard for, say for instance, a hacker or someone to hack into the transmitter of this data going from one point to another point, because the transmittal time is, just to give you an example, we've already tested speeds up to 2 gigabytes per second. We have already tested and did breakthroughs to move speeds of up to about 1,000 gigabytes per second now. So that's where we're at.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, and you can imagine the breakthroughs and just the look on a lot of individual faces when they saw this type of speed. This has been documented, and I can give you all the documentation on this. There are a lot of MIT and universities that are just hands-on with this technology as we are just discovering more breakthroughs. I have contracts with countries and governments right now to also put this infrastructure within their environment, in their space. We're also, through the transmitting of data through LED, because that's what this prism allows us to transmit this data through, creates another environment of safety, such as, for instance, in hospitals, airplanes, trains. You can imagine just the environment that allows us, with the autonomy and the IT and the Internet of Things, that uses LED light that can communicate from one point to another point. We can do this in rural areas as well. So this solves another problem with pointing data to particular areas in rural spaces and things of that nature. So I don't want to take a lot of everybody's time up because this wasn't my platform, but I just wanted to share with everyone, there are some revolutionary breakthroughs that are out there. We are part of it. We're looking at it in the space of security. I've been involved with this for a bit over 15 years now with security and other things that I've done and worked with other companies, and I've actually worked with various financial institutions that have seen these breakthroughs. And I like what you all are doing. and like to speak to you a little bit more in depth about that. So I put my information inside of the chat box at my number and my email. You feel free to send me a message or a line, and I'll be happy to discuss this at a further time, a little bit more in detail.
Yeah, thank you very much. We really appreciate that insight. For everyone who is willing to connect with James, he has actually dropped his contact details. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, do we have any other contribution? If you have any other questions or contributions, you can just notify by, raising your hand or by unmuting yourself. Yeah. We have another comment from Mr. Kone Fori. Mr. Kone Fori, are you there? So I think it's really interesting having this conversation around cybersecurity and preventing fraud. At this challenging times, it's really, important for several stakeholders involved in digital platforms and payments and banking and several other sectors. I think it's really, really important for us to understand the importance of leveraging automation and alternative data to reduce fraud. Mr. Mayo, are you there? Okay, just trying to make him share the poll results. Do we have any comments or recommendations? Some people requested for the presentations. Yeah, we would definitely request from the speakers so that we can share to all participants.
Yes, sure. We're going to send also our information, so our contact details, because if they want to reach us anytime, to me or Chisala, they're more than welcome to do that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Okay, I'm coming. Do we have any other questions? Okay. And in the absence of any questions, any comments, I would like to end the session. Trying to share the poll results. Thank you all for joining. We appreciate your precious time. We'll try as much as possible to get back to everyone on the poll result and the presentations, so that we could also look at how we could discuss and implement in our various organizations. Yes. Please, can you share the poll results?
I'm trying to get it. I can't get on it now. Can you check from your name?
No, I can't do that from here.
Okay. Let's see. Unfortunately, I think we have a technical issue with getting the poll. So
maybe we could send the results via email to all the participants alongside with the presentations.
Yeah, we're sorry about the.
Yeah, can you read out the percentage?
I can't even get to it again.
Okay, no problem. That's a technical,
You go ahead.
Okay, so no problem. We'll call it a day. We appreciate
before we call
Danilo Melle for your precious time and insightful presentation. It's really, really great to have you around.
My pleasure.
We hope to, engage you for several other sessions in the nearest future.
Happy.
I think this is very, very wonderful. Thank you very much. To Chisala, thank you for the presentation. We appreciate your time. We hope to, how we could connect with you in the nearest future. Thank you all the participants for joining this session. And I would actually implore everyone to see how to implement the recommendations that has been given on how we could prevent fraud through the automation, through the use of digital platforms and alternative data, so that we could apply it in our several business activities, several business engagement, particularly as we roll out our products and services, because this is very, very rampant at this moment. Thank you all. Once again, we'll connect with everyone via email by sending the presentations and the poll results. We apologize for any inconveniences that have been caused. I appreciate your time. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Once again, we appreciate everyone for joining us. You'll be getting the poll. Mr. James Summons would like to say one or two things. I don't know if he's there.
Yes, he has done that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you. We look forward to you joining us on our next series.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Everybody, thank you, Danilo. Thank you, Chisala.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Talk
to you soon.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, sir. Yeah, good. Okay. I was just trying to see how